We in the south of France, and I was actually just out in the ocean, just, like enjoying myself, just kicking it. And then I heard music, and I was like, man, that sounds like Wyclef. And I was like, yo, and you lighting the spot up. I'm hearing it, and I started getting closer. And then I was like, one of your peoples came and was like, yo, Clef over here. I'm like, that's Clef. I knew it was Clef. And I just came out of the ocean, and man, we just started rocking like.
Your boy Wyclef Jean. A lot of people talk about the score. Everywhere I go, I be feeling like Paul McCartney. They be like, Paul, you're great. You've accomplished everything possible to the human race. Tell us about those damn Beatles. It's like, it don't matter where I go, what I do. Wyclef, he's such an inspiration. He ran for president of Haiti. He was in the forefront of your people. Tell us about the score. It's like, man, Wyclef Jean. We've been checking on your record. I mean, musically, you don't brag, but man, you've broke some records. Hips don't lie. The #1 song ever, pop history, most airplayed. Wow. Shakira was amazing, wasn't she? But tell us about the score. Everything goes back to the score. So we talk about the score, but I think the most shocking thing about the score was how we became famous before we knew we was famous. That actually was funny because, and it dates back to a little before the score to the first hit, which was Mona Lisa by the Fugees, a record called Nappy Heads, which was a remix by Salaam Remi. That actually, because in order for you to go hear the score, there have to be something to make you say, yo, these kids are kind of dope. I'm looking forward to what they're doing. So I think bigger than the score was the setup record. So Salaam Remi gave us the setup record called Nappy Heads. And Salaam, for those who don't know, when you, or if you haven't, listen to the Amy Winehouse documentary or look at it. When Amy's on the phone and she's saying, yo, to the sensei, I have some ideas in my head. I'm thinking Amy Winehouse is talking to the sensei. Look, I'm thinking about flipping this like this. She's talking to Salaam Remi. Salaam Remi, a little bit younger than us, but he was like spitting all the hits at the time as a producer. So I was like, I want to be like this guy. So I had a meeting with him before the Fugees. And I was like, yo, we gotta catch a vibe with you. And he was like, bring in the group. So I brought in the group, and it was like a scene from Beat Street. You know what I mean? Because he was like, y'all just too talented. That's the problem. Like, you playing guitar, she's singing Nina Simone, Prize is Axl Rose. Like, this is too much talent. We gonna have to, like, his word was not dumb it down. It's like, we gotta do some knucklehead shit first. Salaam said we gotta do some knucklehead shit first, knowing that we could spit on a whole nother level. So it was the reason I said Beat Street. He said, yo, Clef, go in the booth and show me what you got. So I go in the booth, young Clef, Bubble Goose on. Y'all know me already, right? So I'm going. And I guess like 5 minutes into the record, and I'm like, yo, Mona Lisa, can I get a date on Friday? And if you're busy, I want my ticket Saturday. I round up the possible, you know what I mean? So I'm going crazy. And then I leave the booth, and he's like, Lauren, she goes in and kills it. Prize goes in and kills it. And I think we actually could do something special, which I'm going to try to do by the end of this episode. I am going to try to get you the 12-minute freestyle of Wyclef Jean when Salaam threw him in the booth. And I think it's 15 minutes, and I'm going in. So Lauren goes in and they all does that. Then we leave. Salam is the genius who listens to this 1 hour and just literally does a Rubik's Cube. He's like, I'm gonna pull this part. And this becomes Nappy Heads. So Nappy Heads give us this avenue. Now we are in Europe, right? Because usually when the record company don't feel like the artist is popping too much here, they send them to Europe. Because they probably could make their money from Europe. So being like we was like a live band, so we get to Europe and the Fugees are opening up for Das Effects. King!
Peace, peace. What's going on, bro?
My family. You
How
good?
you been, brother? Yeah, I'm great.
Well, since I seen you last time, you know, my beard's trying to be your length, you know?
You was always able to rock that joint, right, though.
Common, man. I think, so I always say, I wanted to create a platform, but I was inspired by Jules Holland out of London. He had a show where he just had the best people in the world come and do these jam sessions with him. So this was my original idea, and then we all get locked down. So I was like, right. I can't let the lockdown stop the jam session and these conversation ideas. So we gotta pick it up. So I just wanna start off by saying, Common, man, when I see you, I was a jazz major in high school, and I wanted to be a battle rapper, and a teacher dragged my ear and was like, you're gonna learn this upright bass, right? And the thing that I love about jazz is the purity of like not giving a not being unapologetic. What you hear is what you hear, all the way down to Thelonious Monk, like, you know, whether if y'all like it or not, this is what the keys sound like. When I first heard you, I was a baby Fuji, and you was a baby Common, and my first words was, who is this man? So I think long after we gone, if I could give a description, the closest thing I could say to when I heard you was when I first listened to Miles Davis' Bitches Brew.
Ooh, man.
That's how I would like to start off by saying this, because what happens is we all moving so fast that we don't get time to speak to each other, because everybody's like, what's the next thing? What's this? So it's important that I want the world to document this, because the first time I heard Miles Davis' Bitches Brew and the first time I heard you, I had the same reaction. So this is my intro to let you know that it's beyond an honor, man, for you to take time, man. You're one of the greatest to speak to me. That's my intro to you, Common.
Brother, I mean, let me tell you, Clef, like, for you to even, you know, Bitches Brew, Miles Davis, man, no, like, Miles, Coltrane, and Thelonious, Ornette Coleman, and like, who else? Like, Freddie Hubbard. So many, like, jazz musicians have, Herbie Hancock, all have inspired my life and changed my life. And I got introduced to jazz through hip hop, to be honest. Like, my father, who I didn't grow up with my father, but he listened to Gene Ammons a lot in jazz, but I wasn't up on jazz. I was listening to soul and hip hop and rock. Yeah, but that being said, for you to, you know, just even compare me to anything in the family of the jazz great Miles Davis, I just want to say thank you, brother. Give thanks to the Most High. And I want to make sure I take this time to say, man, how influential and how much of an inspiration you've been for me watching when you first, you know, came into the world, like, as a musician, for me to see it in the Fugees. Just like the impact y'all had, the dopeness, like the variety, and watching you perform and freestyle and play instruments was, man, it was something for me to to aspire to be honest, man. Like I honestly watched you and watched D'Angelo and watched certain dudes that was black dudes that was cool playing instruments, and it made me be like, man, I want to play an instrument, you know, like, I never picked it up strong enough, but I just wanted to let you know, like, your musicianship, your artistry is stellar, man, and it's a beautiful thing, and it's always been powerful from when I first seen you, and you continue to shine it on the world, man. And you one of them cats that can go anywhere on the planet and rock the place, you know, and that's a gift. So give thanks to the Most High, bro.
Man, so speaking of anywhere, I can't even make shit up. I'm in the south of France. I'm on stage and I am doing a private concert on the beach. And out of nowhere, you literally look like you came from the water of the beach. Like literally, this is what it looked like. And you pulling up, you have no shirt on. So my manager was like, yo, that's Common. And they run in to go get you, and literally, this looked like a scene of, I can't even make this up. Yo, could you break it down? Because if I say it, it's gonna sound like a movie scene. So tell them what happened with me.
Yo, it's one of those things, you know, like we couldn't write a movie scene that good, to be honest. It was just so, I literally was out, we in the south of France, and I was actually just out in the ocean, just, you know, like enjoying myself, just kicking it.
Yeah.
And then I heard music, and I was like, man, that sound like Wyclef. And I was like, yo, and you lighting the spot up. I'm hearing it, and I started getting closer, and then I was like, then one of your peoples came and was like, yo, Clef over here. I'm like, that's Clef. I knew it was Clef. And I just came out of the ocean, and man, we just started rocking. Like, you had the music, man. It just felt like two MCs, artists doing what we do. It just so happened I had come from the ocean, so it just made it a crazier story. But the people, we was going back and forth. The people just was sparked, man, and it just, you was bugging out because you was like, this dude just came out of the water, and I'm like, wait, I'm hearing Wyclef. Like, cause you know, when we go over there, you don't know who's performing, who's doing anything. So it was like, I'm sitting in the water and I hear you performing. It was dope, man. It was like one of those moments I remember for the rest of my life.
Yo, I will definitely, let me tell you, cause you know, you're like a rock star to me in my world. And the best way I could compare that memory was when I was in Shepherd's Bush and Mick Jagger happened to be on the balcony and then come down. It was the same thing. It was like, yo, did Common just come from the ocean and jumped on the stage, and me and you just went crazy. You are the wordsmith master. And so the reason why I call my show Run That Back, right, is because I always sit there as a producer, crazy composer, and I was like, yo, I need to take Common back to the ocean. So I just sit there and I whip something to give, I'm gonna play you something, and this is what it felt like. You know, that's my best way of expressing to you. Run that. We're gonna play something. You hear it? Turn it up. Could you hear it clear?
Yeah.
This what the ocean, this is what it felt like when I was with you.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, y'all, and you don't stop to the beat, y'all, and you don't stop. Yes, yes, y'all, and you don't stop to the beat, y'all, and you don't stop. Yes, yes, y'all, and you don't stop. 1, 2, y'all, and you don't stop. Yes, yes, y'all, and you don't stop until the beat comp says the beat is short shot. Come on, come on, come on.
Ooh, yo, that's a vibe right there. Yeah. Everything.
This girl when I was 10 years old. And what I love most, she had so much soul. She was old school when I was just a shorty, never knew. Throughout my life, she would be there for me on the regular. Not a church girl, she was secular. Not about the money, those stunts was my checker, but I respected her. She hit me in the heart. A few New York Nets niggas did it in the park. She was there for me, and I was there for her. Pull out a chair for her,
Turn on the F for her.
and just cool out.
Cool out and listen to her.
Sitting on bone, wishing that I could do eventually. If it was meant to be, then it would be cause we related physically and mentally, and she was fun then.
Yeah.
I'd be geeked when she come around. Slim was fresh, Joe.
When she was underground original.
Pure untap of the down sister. Boy, I tell you, I miss her. Yes, yes, y'all, and you don't stop. To the beat, y'all, and you don't stop. Yes, yes, y'all, and you don't stop. 1, 2, y'all, and you don't stop. Yes, yes, y'all, and you don't stop. You act, yo, we gotta be the short shot.
Yeah, Clef, yo, come on,
You
bro.
can pull that up, man, yo. That's at the beach, baby.
We're at the beach, like.
I gotta let that ride for them, man.
Periodically, I would see old girl at the club, sit at the house party. She didn't have a body, but she started getting thick with. Did a couple of videos that became Afrocentric. Out goes the weed, in goes the braised beast medallion. She was on that tip about stopping the violence. About my people, she was teaching me. Why not preaching to me, but speaking to me in a method that was leisurely.
So easily I approach.
She dug my rap, that's how we got close. But
Then she broke to the West Coast, and I was cool, cause around the same time, I went away to school, and I'm a man of expanded.
So why should I stand in her way? She probably get her money in LA. And she did stunt, she got big pub, but what was foul? She said that the pro-black was going without a style. She said Afrocentricity was of the past. Well, she got into R&B, hip house, bass, and jazz. Not
Black music is black music, and it's all good.
I wasn't salty, she was with the boys in the hood. Cause I was due for her. She was becoming well-rounded. I thought it was dope how she was on that freestyle shit, just having fun. Not worried about any money, you could tell by how her titties hung. Yes, yes, y'all.
And you don't stop.
To the beat, y'all.
And you don't stop.
Yes, yes, y'all.
And you don't stop.
1, 2, y'all. And you don't stop. Yes, yes, y'all. And you don't stop. To the beat, count, gotta be the short shot. Yes, yes, y'all.
And you don't stop.
Check it on, check it.
You can fade it, baby.
Yo. Yo, Clef, you blessed that joint.
I gotta run that back, but I gotta surprise you because you do so much, right? So when you come to see me, that's my way of paying respect to you. It's like taking a Miles trumpet part and just bringing it right to the islands. That's why when I told you from the gate, I hear your voice is that muted horn, baby. Amazing.
Man, yo, bro, like, I love how you, as soon as them chords started, I was like, that's like, oh, that is the ocean. Yo, yo, that's the ocean, man. It felt like, when do you, as far as writing, like when you writing on your instrument, do you just, is it just a vibe like freestyling where you just feeling it out?
Yeah, sometimes for me, like, I wake up and there's a keyboard next to me, or there's a drum machine. Sometimes it comes beat driven, like sometimes it might come, I might hit a drum pattern. Sometimes it comes from the bass, heavy influenced by jazz. Sometimes it comes from the piano, but I always can hear the themes first, like Curtis Mayfield. So like,
Really?
It could be like Maria for Santana. I can always hear the bow, no. I can always hear when I'm writing music, I always hear the themes. Like if you hear Gone to November when I pound on, I always can hear, and I guess that's like listening to like Santana and Hendrix and Curtis Mayfield, something about like the constant theme. That's why when I hear like, my favorite MCs are the ones that spit and then they go back to whatever that theme is. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you improvise, you go into it and then you be like, oh yeah, by the way, yes, y'all. So you go back to that, do that, put that, boom, 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 that, put that, you know what I'm saying? So, 100%, man.
Clef, was your first instrument, was it the upright bass or was it like, or guitar? What was the first instrument you picked up?
Man, I grew up coming from Haiti. I was raised in the church. My dad was a minister. So in the hood, whatever they bought, like our first church was inside of the house. So it was in the projects, 8 of us, and it was an accordion. Literally, dude,
What?
my dad had bought me an accordion. That was literally, so accordion to trombone to the Hammond organ, and from the Hammond organ to the piano. And I was like, yo, but, you know, like you a teenager, and I'm like, yo, how come the lead singer who's playing the guitar, like he in the front, and all the girls are screaming for him, and I gotta sit right here in the back of this piano? I gotta get a new instrument, you know what I'm saying? So then I started, so I picked up the guitar, I think like at 13, and I always say, it was very rough where we was at. I always say my mom replaced a gun in my hand with a guitar. And I fell in love with the guitar because it sort of like took me places, you know what I mean? Like you could just start, you know, it was like poetry, you know what I'm saying? Like sitting there writing rhymes. And I would always say when my boys was outside doing what they doing, trapping, or my man's playing Atari, I was just literally trying to figure out what the next instrument was, you know what I mean? That was a vibe for me, man.
Man.
But yo, man, you know what's deep is, I think we share a deeper common than the music, because for me, like I said, that's like drinking water at this point. Chicago, Haiti, Port-au-Prince. You know, like we have a place in Haiti, they call it Cité Soleil. Cité Soleil is considered, still up to today, one of the most dangerous places in the world. I did a documentary with my film company. If you ever get a chance, I'll send it to you. It's called The Ghosts of Cité Soleil, how these kids are influenced by hip hop and trying to change their lives. But I say that because Chicago, your come up, and you're an inspiration to a group of kids that necessarily, we gotta look up to idols, right? So when we young, what makes us think we could do it, we see different people and we idolize the community and we wanna rock out. So because we hear so much about Chicago, what was the come up in Chicago like, high school, and where's Chicago at today? And I hear politicians with all of their rhetoric and it all sounds like bullshit to me. You as one of the leaders, where did it start and where do you want to see Chicago go, my friend?
Yes, sir. Well, coming up, man, for me, Chicago, it really, man, like grounded me as a person. And still to this day, I feel like what I gained from Chicago was a sense of self, because, you know, blackness was something I ain't have to like try to figure out. I was living in it. And Chicago gave me a blackness that was like down to earth. It was, I saw spectrums of blackness in different ways, meaning I saw some black people who were affluent. I saw, you know, on my block was gangbanging, you know, like, which I was cool with cats that gangbang, and I was cool with some cats that just like parents sent them to private school, and my mom was a teacher, so I was blessed to go to a private school, but I still was like around the hood. So I felt like I got the balance of two worlds in that way. And Chicago really is founded in like that blue collar, and our roots come from the South. So we got something that's just kind of warm about us in that sense, and down to earth. But at the same token, it's still a city awareness and a city intelligence there. So that has been the foundation for me. And speaking of jazz and those things, Chicago provided a lot of soul when it came to that, like from jazz music to blues to you know, gospel music. It's got a rich history. I always talk about our artists from Chicago, like whether it's Curtis Mayfield, Minnie Riperton, Maurice White from Earth, Wind and Fire, Herbie Hancock, Shaka Khan. You know, it's a great like talent. Sam Cooke. So many dope ones. Gene Ammons, like I talked about. Like, it's some really dope artists from Chicago and creators. That being said, when I look at where we are now, what politicians are saying about Chicago, they using it as like a ploy for their own benefit. They don't really care about what's going on in the city. But our city has been enduring some tough times as far as the violence. It's been hard to explain why it's continuing. The violence is continuing. always look at it from the perspective of opportunities, man. Most of our people, when we have opportunities and access, we ain't gonna be out there like, just banging and selling dope for no reason or shooting at each other. Like that ain't like our nature. But I think, the circumstances and the culture has developed where that's been part of what's happened in Chicago. And we lost our way on that side because a lot of our leaders who were street organizers in a gang way had got put in jail. So the leadership was gone. And leadership is leadership. As much as, that was, the gangbanging was part of the culture, they also had order to it. It was order. It was honor to it. And I think some of that dispersed and disintegrated with those leaders being removed. Where I want to see our city, and I've seen it happening, and it is happening, so I want to speak to that. It's a lot of organizations, like a group called Asada's Daughter, the organization I've established called Common Ground Foundation, that really empower people and young people and empower people who are being overlooked usually by politicians, and are giving us chances, giving them work, giving them jobs, giving them access to better mentoring programs. And I feel like all that will help benefit the young people to be less involved in stuff that ain't helping them and be more involved in things that are productive to their lives and help them envision themselves doing something in the world. I mean, for me, Clef, look, I had choices of being like, okay, I'm about to go just kick it and gangbang with these cats, or I'll hang out with y'all a little bit, but I got something to live for. And I feel like if we are giving our children something to live for now, and that's gonna help benefit our city. And we got a great mayor in Chicago right now, Mayor Lightfoot. I really respect her. So I think it's light at the end of the tunnel. I'll say that, and I'm gonna keep reinforcing that. And there's different programs like Chicago Cred. I seen them taking people who were incarcerated, people who were shooters on the streets, and giving them jobs. That's what I feel like we gotta do. We gotta reach for the people that we normally, society be looking like, oh, y'all just criminals or y'all ain't shit. Nah, we putting value in those people's hearts, in those brothers and sisters' hearts, so they can know that they valued and change their lives. And that's where we are right now.
Man, that's so amazing, man. So when you get a chance, I want you to see the connection with Haiti and Chicago. It's a very deep one. Chicago was founded by a Haitian. And
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Jean-Baptiste Toussaint, man. Come on, man.
I know who I'm talking to, Carmen.
Yes.
You know, and listen, Carmen, listen. You're not about to beat me in Jeopardy. I know who I'm speaking to. I'm probably speaking to a future president here. So I say that, right? Because the contribution that, I think, when I look at us in the Caribbean, being 1804, the independence, and why they did not want us to get to the blacks in America that they had as slaves. Why didn't they want us to do this combination and come together? And I think it's because we would have traded the information. And I think that we are in an era now where all of the information is starting to be traded. And as this information is being traded, I feel that the new leaders are people like yourself that are rising. So that's literally why I asked this question, because I look at you as one of the leaders. And I have so many of my cousins that are either deported or family members and friends that are locked up, right? And when I'm looking back, coming to America, dude, it was no joke, man. Growing up in the projects, not being able to speak English, we had no choice. We had to all huddle up together, right? Some call it a gang, right? Then we call it organization in a tribe. And when I look back at it, if we had better reforms then, a lot of those kids, their lives would have changed. And another space that I've been watching you in, and you definitely inspire me, is prison reform. I've watched you over and over, been an advocate for that. Where are you at with that now? And where do you see that going in the future?
Right. Well, let me acknowledge too, before I even answer that question, that I went to Port-au-Prince and Haiti was, man, a beautiful people out there, man, strong
Yes,
people,
sir.
man. And I was inspired when I went there, man. And it was like, you know, it was tough because, you know, it was obviously post the earthquake and, you know, but man, the people was strong, man. And it just is, man, it's something about it that I really felt like, man, these people inspire me, man. I'm seeing strength in my people in Haiti. And yeah, I just want to acknowledge that and just say, man, respect due to Haiti. And yes, my city is discovered by Haitians, so I got nothing but respect for my Haitian brothers and sisters.
Yeah, we connected by blood.
You know, yes, sir, by blood, brother. True indeed. You know, as far as prison reform and criminal justice reform goes, you know, I really started on that quest, Clef, because of what we've been talking about. Chicago, for me, was really dealing with a lot of issues. And I was having a talk with this woman who wrote this book called The New Jim Crow. And that book was tracing how from slavery to the Reconstruction era to Jim Crow to mass incarceration, it's all been a part of keeping Black people as second-class citizens. And, you know, she was comparing how slavery was, mass incarceration was a new form of slavery because, you know, is when the criminal system deems you a criminal and you go in there and serve time, after you serve time, you can't come back in many instances and come back and be able to vote or get housing or, you know, just get the proper rights of a citizen after you serve your time. So, you know, when she started equating this to also how it was perpetuating violence in our inner cities and in Chicago specifically, I was like, I gotta do something about this, man. Like, this is something I thought was normal, because like you said, we got cousins that go in and out, uncles that go in and out of prison, and I felt that it was normal, but I didn't realize it was a systemic thing. Or I didn't like really dive into it. I knew it was systemic, but I didn't really like think it through and think about how I could be part of the change. Once all that clicked in for me, I connected with Scott Butnick, who you've met too, and was like, man, I want to go into it, because he had been coming to me at different Rock the Bell shows, like, yo, you need to come talk to some of my formerly incarcerated people. And at the time, I was like, yeah, I will, let's do it, we'll do it at some point. But once things just connected, I was like, oh man, I gotta go into these prisons and just see what's going on. So we started making trips into different prisons in the state of California, just sitting with men and women, just listening to them and hearing what they had to say. And at that point, man, I really humanized so many individuals became human beings to me instead of just people incarcerated or inmates or whatever. I got to really know people. And man, I felt like, man, I gotta be a part of changing this system, because those people, a lot of people I met had changed their lives. A lot of them could acknowledge their crimes, and then they were, they had redeemed themselves. And I think our criminal justice system is geared more towards punishment than it is towards healing, towards redemption. So we went back and did performances at these prisons. We eventually did some work to get some policy change in the state of California, and we're looking to do it in other states. So that's where I am with it right now. With COVID, we made a short film that was dealing with the incarcerated. It's a really short film that this director named Savannah Leaf did, just to say, hey, y'all, we know we dealing with all this pandemic, but think about the people who are incarcerated. So we keeping them in mind, and also coming up with new programs to help them, as far as from what we found out from our own proximity research, to say these are some of the things that people incarcerated need. And I'm continuing to participate with Scott Butnick and his ARC, and we have an organization we formed called Imagine Justice, and it's all focused on criminal justice reform.
Wow, man, I definitely look forward to see where you go with that in the future. You could always count me in whatever way you see I could support the organization. I'm in 100%. I'm definitely inspired by you. Man, so high school, man, in high school, my first name is Nell. My middle name is Wyclef. My last name is Jean. So in high school, I had my phase, right? So first, as Wyclef, I was like, you know what? I gotta change Wyclef into Walik. I was going through my 5%er phase, you know? So, you know, Wyclef became Walik, fell in love with hip hop, and then my first name was Nell, and I was like, I gotta turn it into Nelly Nell, right? So in high school, I was either like Nelly Nell or Walik, and I can't think of a talent show that I wasn't in. And I was competing. And I was like the MC of the school and just destined to, I didn't know what I was gonna do, but I thought I was gonna be in the next Beach Street or something. But you're so incredible. We watch you, your wordplay, your performance. How did this big break happen for you? Where did it start? How was high school? Because I heard you said private school. Where did this MC come from, and how did you get your break for all of the youth that are out there looking like, yo, I want to be like Common, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yo, so, I mean, I wrote my first rap like when I was in grammar school. I was like 7th grade, and I was with my cousin, and we was always listening to Run DMC and LL and Houdini and, you know, Africa Bambaataa and all that hip hop. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, God bless Andre Harrell. So, you know,
yes,
all those.
R.I.P. to Andre Harrell, yes.
Yes, sir. So I was writing raps. In high school, I started writing, and I formed a group with No ID, who produced a lot of my first albums, and then later on, you know, we even did more work. And one of our good friends, Corey. So the name of our group was CDR, Corey, Dion, and Rashid. Rashid is my middle name, and that was the group. Yeah, so we was writing songs, and we was hearing hip hop, hearing everything, and listening to Audio 2, listening to MC Light, listening to Special Ed, listening to Big Daddy, Rakim, EPMD, NWA, all of it. And within this group, we actually got a chance to open up at this theater in Chicago, this performance place called the Regal Theater, which was legendary. We got a chance to open up for Big Daddy Kane, Too Short, and NWA. And that was like monumental for us. We was like, yo, some of the first cats out of Chicago to even be on the stage with those guys.
Yeah,
so
facts.
And this is like 87, maybe 87, 88, probably 88. And that was life-changing for me because it's just like, man, it didn't get me signed to anything, but it just made me see that I'd already been on stages, but I loved being on stage. I love performing. I love bringing people that joy and that energy. So I continued to work on my craft and work. And I went away to college for a year at Florida A&M University. I was studying in the School of Business, and I sent we at the time I was like a solo artist by then. I was sending my tapes to different record labels, and it just so happened that the Source magazine, which they had this unsigned hype category, they put me in unsigned hype. Now unsigned hype was doing a whole tape with this Sony label called Relativity, where they were like taking myself, Biggie, Mobb Deep, all these artists that were unsigned hype, and they were making a whole compilation tape. It never got done. But the label still was interested. So they signed me. I signed my record deal. Man, waiting to get this record out probably for a year and a half, just sitting in FAMU down in Tallahassee writing songs. You know, my producer, No ID, would be leaving beats on the answer machine. I'd just be playing beats back off the answer machine, just writing. But, and then the first album came out. My first album, it didn't like come out and just bang. It wasn't like, the splash on the world. So it just made me continue to know that I had to grow. Because I don't know how you felt, Clef, but, looking from a distance, when I saw Big Daddy Kane on TV, I saw EPMD, I saw all these artists, I thought, yo, you just a star because you're on TV and you got your video. Of course, they were talented and gifted. But man, when that first album came out, it was a wake up call for me. Like, oh,
likewise.
You ain't just
Likewise.
things ain't just going. Yeah. How was so when y'all first project was y'all like, oh man,
likewise, blunted on reality, and you know, like I say, the most exciting part was getting the record deal, right? So like with us, like I think 34 different companies passed on us. So finally, when somebody said yes, we was doing this album, Blunted on Reality, like I said, you feel good. Like you're like, okay, I know that the world is about to hear us. It's about to go crazy, right? And the album comes out and you notice like, buddy. Like, it's no such thing. You know, it's gonna take some time to climb this ladder. So, cause I tell people the real work this is what I learned. The real work don't start until you actually sign, after that first album. If you could break that freshman jinx, right? Cause that freshman jinx, sometimes it's either gonna pop or not. And sometimes you pop as a freshman and you don't even get to the sophomore. So I think we worked on the better half because as the freshman, a lot of people are curious. They're like, all right, so kids, now you're like, what? I am dope. Like y'all gonna learn. It made you work harder. Like, I think that's why we called the score, because we was like, yo, we about to settle the score, because they not even paying attention to what we saying. You know what I'm saying?
Yo, so, Clef, that's exact. I mean, my second album is called Resurrection, and it was like the same mentality, like meaning I was like, okay, y'all never. I'm coming to life in this album. I'm resurrecting because y'all didn't hear this first album, and what you said about like man, wait, I'm dope, man. Y'all better know, and it just made me work harder to get better. Like, yo, y'all, look, I gotta get better. I felt like I was dope, but I was like, I gotta get better. Cause if I get better, then they gonna recognize the dopeness. But so I was grateful for, and I am grateful for all of the journey. And that's one thing I would say to any aspiring artist or just anybody that's pursuing their vision, man. It's like, man, the journey is a blessing, man. Like, and the jewels we pick up on the journey is what is the most precious things. That's the things that build, as the Bible scripture says, right? It builds character. Perseverance builds character. Be grateful for any trials, because trials, create perseverance, and perseverance creates character, and you may be complete, not lacking in anything. And I think it's the journey that allows you to really actually become a complete person. And it's the ups and downs of any parts of life and profession that give us that.
Amazing, man. So before I let you go, I just want you to know so many different kids are inspired by you, man. And keep inspiring people. And if somebody was to ask me, what do Common and Sinatra got in common? You caught that? That was a bar, Common.
I got that.
Common and Sinatra
got in common.
I would say, they both did it their way. And I have to tell you, you are one of the greats. The moment I see you, another one of my favorites, John Legend, Monster Beast, when I hear him, I'm thinking like Donny Hathaway, Marvin Gaye goes on. Another alien in that space. I'm looking at y'all, and once again, it's the Oscars. And Common, that with the Oscars, it's something constantly, every year, there's a constant fight for more diversity in the Oscars. And when y'all up there for Selma, amazing. And I'm looking at y'all and I'm looking at you, I'm proud, like beyond proud, because it's like Chicago, hip hop, there's Miles Davis, the return of him at the Oscars. So I'm looking at you. And then you did it your way. At the end of the day, we all come up And there's a myth in the music business where it has to be a certain way. Get music on the radio. Get music on the radio. Get music on the charts. Get music on the charts. Do music videos. Make sure these music videos coordinated with this. You completely did everything your way, how you felt it, and continue to do that, which at the end of the day, you're standing up there at the Oscars. And because we all need this talk. So if you was to leave us all, from the different young kids that want to be common, from us who's looking at you as a leader, what advice would you give us? Because the complete world has changed moving forward. So as we move into this new era, what advice would you give to us?
Yeah, I would say the reason I believe and I give thanks to God first and foremost that I was on that Oscars stage was I was operating in purpose, in God's purpose, and I believe that when we align ourselves with what our purpose is, it bears fruits, man. It becomes fruitful in ways greater than you imagine. The thing I would give anybody is, man, operating in purpose. I believe the reason why John Legend and I were on that stage is because we were operating in purpose. Like we were in the purpose of God. And I think it's important that we find out what we purpose to do. The truth of the matter is I found out, I loved hip hop. I loved creating and writing and those things. And then eventually, as I matured and learned more about myself, I started to understand that, man, I want my words to mean something. I want them to say something. I want to actually help people's lives and inspire them. And then, I started to understand that, I can actually do this as an actor too. Meaning
Facts.
Not only am I studying acting, but I also can tell stories that mean something in acting and really bring characters to life that are really relate to human beings and help touch their souls. And then I realized, I can go speak at colleges and talk to people and do speeches, and really, do God's work in that way. And my point is, I think once I found things that I loved and were passionate about and think about every day, like when you said you wake up and you might hit some notes, that's something you love, man. You've been gifted that. You purpose to do that and that's one of your purposes. Once we all discover that, then we can find how we can use that to benefit ourselves and to benefit others. And I think that's what, the actual gift is given for us for it to be ours, but it's also something that we give to the world. And I think, that's why when I looked at Glory, when I looked at what we were doing on that stage, I was like, this is bigger than us. Yeah, Clef, I was representing you up there. I'm representing my mother. I'm representing Fred Hampton. I'm representing Harriet Tubman. I'm representing, hip hop. I felt like this wasn't even about me and John Legend. We was just up there doing what we do, but it was connected to a higher purpose.
Perfect. I'm gonna let you go, but I'm part of an all-female label called Heads Music. I'm one of the partners, and I believe in the female movement so strong. And they told me to ask you this question because if I don't, I can't let you go like this. They said to ask you, how does it feel like being the most sexiest man alive in this generation? What does that feel like? And when I said that, the whole glass trip, what you have to answer this for them, man.
Hey, no, I'm not, listen. First of all, for them to call me that, I just let them know I'm saying thank you and I'm receiving it. I'm a man. I like women. I love women. But I mean, not that in an exploitive way, but in a way that I appreciate a compliment and compliments that come from women. But I'm just honestly trying to stay like excited, healthy, and inspired. But I love that a woman will say that about me, and I'm gonna embrace that and just say thank you. That's what I'm gonna say, thank you. And I'm gonna keep working on myself and being the best person I could be. And I think, you know, if women appreciate that, I'm just grateful.
100%, and I will follow with your footstep with the full beard and the bald head till I die. Thank you, Common. I love
Let's
you.
go. Let's go. Love you, brother. Love, Clef.
Seems to write the horror flicker Stephen King. Cling the books, all those in favor say I got tired of the fat lady, so I sing to my own opera. Ballin', to the man and rockers island. It can divide us, what you want to die.
Your boy Wyclef Jean put me on. I'm about to put y'all on. The streaming services are no joke. Like millions of songs, and you gotta keep going through. It's like, how do artists like make that noise, like make it loud? And not just in the field of hip hop. Cause we already know what we're doing in the field of hip hop, but you know, like the field of reggae, R&B, blues, jazz. So if I come across a certain guitar player I think that y'all should check out, I'm gonna put y'all on it, you know what I mean? So my brother's name is Naia Izumi, and I need y'all, I'm gonna give everybody 3 seconds to just guess where he's from. One of the baddest, coldest guitarists. Naia Izumi, 1, 2, 3. Columbus, Georgia. Yes, he's from Georgia. When I heard the name, I was like, okay, all right. I know a lot of people from Georgia, but this name's definitely unique. So anyone that knows me well knows that I'm a huge fan of Tiny Desk. And not only am I a huge fan of Tiny Desk, I played the Tiny Desk. So that's like where I saw Naia Izumi, and I was like, yo, who's this guitar player? So apparently he spent part of his life living in a trailer park. He got his first guitar, I think, between the age of 8 to 10. And what's amazing to me, like, he roamed the streets of California, LA, till he built a following. And he was like, y'all going to hear me. So for everybody that's tuned into this, once again, your voice can be heard, right? I have this phrase, you know, magic without will and action equals to nothing. So at the end of the day, you have to take that determination and want to do it. So I am urging you, if you love guitar players, to check out my brother. He's incredible. And Naia Izumi, if you're watching this is Wyclef Jean. And if by chance you hear my licks getting a little better, you know, just know that I'm crediting you for this one. All right, let's get into it. Bang.
Break up, you're crowding my space, and all, it's under control. Everyone has something to say, but I'm tired of living in this zone.
Balaba, 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 balaba. Check out the number one rapper coming through your speaker.
Hi, Wyclef.
¿Qué pasa, Maddeline?
How are you?
I'm good, everything is good.
What I do want to get into is Lori Loughlin. You know who that is?
Tell me.
This actress who spent a tremendous amount of money to get her daughters into college by doing things illegal. And if I'm not mistaken, what she did counted as, one thing counted as like mail fraud, and it counted as federal crime. So she recently got sentenced. She has to serve 2 months. she's getting to spend in this detention center. You can read online how loose this whole thing is. And, she gets to do arts and crafts and just all. You think it almost sounds as if she's going to some kind of camp for a couple of months. She requested that where she is held can be close to home. I didn't know people got to do that. All the people that I've ever known that have had to go to jail, they don't get to say, oh, I want to stay close to home. They granted her the ability to be in a facility that's only 4 hours from Los Angeles. So then there's this Black woman who was also recently in the news. I think her name is Tonya McDowell, and I hope I didn't get it wrong. This woman sent her child to a school outside of her district. So she did what many parents do, and I know this because I used to live in Fort Lee, New Jersey. And with my address in Fort Lee, with my mail coming to me in my house that I lived in. And the school tried to tell me that my son and my nephew didn't live in Fort Lee. They thought that we were falsifying documents so that they could come from the Bronx to go to this school in Fort Lee, because a lot of people were doing that. A lot of people were doing it. And it's not allowed. This woman did that, Tonya McDowell, and got sentenced to 5 years in prison, Wyclef. She falsified documents to send her kid to a school in a better district and got a 5-year prison sentence. Lori Loughlin commits federal crime upon federal crime to get her daughter into college and gets a 2-month summer camp sentence. How is that fair? Let's get into that.
I don't know how is that fair, and in no way am I part of their court systems. I wasn't part of the jury, but I definitely have a few questions. Okay, one is the person serving 2 months is in, I would imagine the jurisdiction is California.
It's California.
Correct. Mm-hmm. And this second woman that you mentioned, where, because the way that...
I think she's in Connecticut.
Okay.
I think.
Because in order for me to make like a hard assessment, once again, we have sometimes, depending on the jury and the profile of the person and the community that they're in, what boards are they in, how have they served their community, how have they serve that environment, right? And a lot of times, we have to understand that the law, this is still something we're working on, right? Like, we're still talking about the idea of equal rights and justice, like what's good for one should be good for the other side, right?
Yeah.
And we constantly have, these kind of cases. It's sort of like, and in no magnitude, like you was explaining with your son, like in Bayonne and, and then the whole district and that idea.
Yeah.
So the best way I could compare the unfairness to would probably be, I've watched kids that I grew up with from a place in East Orange called Main Street. And that was like a block like where a lot of things went down and a lot of things happened. And 60% of them are deported to Haiti.
Wow.
And when I got to the suburbs and I became part of There Goes the Neighborhood, black rapper in the area, man, the things that I've seen happen here and with all these kids, like literally if that was us, they would put us under the jail growing up. But they have ties with the police department, they have ties where who their councilman is on the block, you know, it's sort of like, so once again, what's fair to one is supposed to be fair to all, but that's not the reality. And in order for things to get better, we have to, and as we instill in the youth growing up, we have to make sure that we are in positions with, you know, judges, lawyers, councilmen, you know, I'm looking at my daughter right now, like, look, you could be on the next Supreme Court judge up there. Like, we have to start instilling like these things in our youth as they start to grow, because our generation, we keep watching it and we keep complaining about it.
Yes.
And it looks like the generation before that was doing the same thing. Like,
and
we
before
keep,
that.
Yeah, right, and we keep saying, hold up. It's crazy, right? It's so damn. I just had a flashback of the hurricane. The hurricane, the boxer, who Dylan ended up doing the song with, you know what I'm saying, where he was like wrongfully convicted and have to serve like prison time, right? And then you
Many
can take,
years.
yeah, you know, then Elvis just gets to walk in front of the, you know, the White House and be like, yo, I need to talk to Nixon, what's good? You know what I'm saying to you? So I think, you know, the balance of this is something that we constantly are fighting for.
Yeah. So let me tell you what that brings me to. I was watching Bun B on social media, and he was speaking to something that you speak to all the time. And you know, he was talking about, I for some reason keep bringing it back to this election, but he was talking about young people talking to him about how confused they are about what's happening in politics. So when you talk about this, what you just said, about being in with your mayor and those things, you know, what Bun B said was, you know, you have to remember, city councilman becomes mayor, becomes state senator, eventually maybe runs for president. And so it brings me right back to something that you've been saying ever since I've known you, is that you have to start looking at politics at that level, at the most base level right there in your neighborhood, which is why I love AOC so much, because she did that and then she did something about that. I do think that's a big part of it, though, when we look at the difference in how these sentences are addressed. We also have to look at the difference in how we participate with who's getting elected to office at the most basic level, which is right there in our neighborhoods.
Yeah, 100%. But at the same time, like I said, what I don't do, I always keep things like 30,000 feet in the air. So, I mean, the person who's doing 2 months, you know, they're trying to figure out a way for their kid, like any parent would do. Like, they trying to figure legal or however you wanna, you can justify what's right or wrong based on what you're gonna do, but we know what the law says.
Yeah.
So based on the law, if a law is broken, it's broken. But we all know what we do to get our kids what we have to get our kids, no matter what.
Yeah.
But once again, 30,000 feet looking at that, you have a broken system. So when somebody gets 2 months and another person gets 5 years. Once again, it's a broken system.
Yeah, at the end of the day, that's exactly what it is. It's exactly what it is. And I just wanted to, for anybody that listens to this segment that doesn't know that story, might have thought process, it might change the way they pay attention to their local politics. It might change the way they pay attention to what's going on in their schools. I'm just hoping that there are people who don't know about it, who will hear it, and it will spark something in them, because that's what podcasts are supposed to do, right?
Yeah, but the good thing is I don't have a podcast.
What is it you have?
I got a show.
All this time I've been on a show and I've been telling people I was
No, it's
on a
okay.
podcast.
I know why, because you're visualizing your own podcast. I know what's going on, Maddie. I seen the 5 heartbeats. This is the part when you step out as Flash and let everybody know your album's coming. Love you, Maddie. I'll see you next week.
Bye.
I remember coming from Haiti, growing up in Brooklyn. On Flatbush, I got my first sneakers cooking. First thing I did was got my first device. When it comes to freestyle, I never think twice.
Wyclef acoustic jams, you know? For me, this is one of my favorite parts because, like in high school, I won every talent show. Like the creation process. One of my favorite albums is The Score. So sometimes in the process, you be like, how does vibes come? You know what I'm saying? Vibes just be coming. I got the looper right underneath me. So just say like if I'm in the studio and I'm just vibing one day and I'm like, just say I like I'm catchy, you know? You know what I mean? And then I should I should I should I should I another MC loses life tonight. I beg that you pray to Jesus Christ. Yeah. Oh Lord, Father, don't let them bury me. Don't. I own MCs like Mephistopheles, bringing swords of Damocles. Secret Service keep a close watch as if my name was Kennedy. Abstract rap, simple with a street format. Days into the sky, measure planets by parallax. Check out the retrograde motion, kill a notion of biting and recycling and calling it your own creation. I feel like Rockwell, somebody. Y'all get the process? Y'all get what I'm saying? And then sometimes I go back to the hook. Another MC loses life tonight, right? I beg that you pray to Jesus Christ. Why? Oh Lord, Father, don't let them bury me. You inside of Wyclef acoustic vibes, you know what I'm saying to you? Oh, shout it out, shout it out. When I'm vibing, just looking for it. Sometimes melodies just come. And these melodies turn into words. You know what I'm saying? It's like just be vibing, like I be in the zone, just. You can try, but you can't divide the tribe. These guys can't rap. Mr. Author, I feel no vibe. The magazine said the girl should stop rap. Y'all know how it go, right? The magazine said the guy should stop rapping. And it was like vanish like Menudo. I took it to the heart. Every actor play his part. As long as someone was listening, I knew it was a start for me to grab my pen and basically revamp, you know, do the cameo, everybody do the dance. Quick now, you're running out of lucker. Playing Mr. Big, I'm gonna get you sucker. While you munching at your luncheon, I be planning your assassination. Then I'll hit you like the Dutchman. Another MC loses life tonight, yeah. I beg that you pray to Jesus Christ. Oh Lord, Father, don't let them bury me. You know, that's the process. Anybody got the score? That joint right there is called Zell. It's your boy Wyclef Jean. I'll see you next week. So we're gonna raise a toast for my brother Common. Continue being a great inspiration to generations to come. And you know what? At the end of the day, history gonna have to paint the truth, even though at times it starts off with lies and we figure out what it is. And Common, you are the truth, man. So a toast to you. I'm gonna keep being inspired by you and keep everything up. Bless.